All right, buckle up, everybody, because we are diving headfirst into a pile of fascinating documents about Vintron Informatics Limited.
Oh, yeah.
You guys sent this in, financial statements, board meeting minutes, auditor reports, the whole shebang.
It's juicy.
I gotta say, this is one of the most interesting cases we've seen.
Oh, for sure.
Just to get everyone up to speed, Vintron's an Indian company. They're in the electronic security and surveillance market, cameras and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at about a year's worth of records for this deep dive.
Okay.
From June 2023 through November 2024.
Gotcha.
And honestly, these financials, they tell a story.
Oh, yeah.
Like a financial mystery novel,
Aha, I like that.
So, expert speaker, first impressions, what jumped out at you right away?
Honestly, the thing that grabbed me was that June 2024 announcement
Okay.
about Miss Sylvie Pukrial
Right.
taking over as company secretary and compliance officer.
Yeah.
She seems to have the experience. She's an associate member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India.
More than qualified.
Over 11 months of experience, but
Yeah.
the timing is just weird.
What do you mean?
Like, makes you wonder if this was planned or if, something was up.
Yeah, that is a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of suspicious, let's take a look at the unaudited financials for the quarter ending June 30, 2024.
Okay.
The first thing that hit me was the revenue, or I guess lack of revenue.
Uh-oh.
We're talking a measly 1.17 lakhs INR
What?
compared to over 16,754 lakhs the year before.
Whoa. Okay.
That's a huge drop, like over 99%.
That's wild.
I mean, it's practically like their business just vanished overnight.
Seriously, what happened?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay.
What could cause a drop like that?
I don't know. Maybe some new competitor just swept in and took their market share?
Could be.
Or their products are just outdated now? Who knows?
Yeah.
It could even be internal problems like management issues.
True.
Or just hiccups in production. There are so many things it could be.
Yeah.
But you know what's even weirder?
What's that?
The auditor's report
Brit?
for this quarter, it doesn't seem too worried about this drop.
Okay, now this is where I started to get really confused.
Oh, yeah?
The auditors, ATK and Associates, they gave like a limited review opinion.
Oh, interesting.
So they didn't do a full audit, but they looked around enough to say they didn't see anything blatantly wrong.
Okay.
So how can the numbers be so bad, but the auditors aren't like freaking out?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like saying a patient is missing a leg, but their vital signs are fine.
Haha. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Doesn't really make sense, does it?
Not really, no.
So maybe we need to understand what a limited review actually means.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, what exactly does that tell us?
I mean, it's kind of like a doctor doing a basic checkup.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to look for the obvious issues,
Sure.
but they're not running, extensive tests or anything.
Right.
So it's possible that they'd need to dig a lot deeper to find something.
So maybe there is something lurking beneath the surface. Well, let's take a closer look at those Q1 2024 financials then.
Yeah, good idea.
What else did you notice in there?
Well, their net loss for the quarter was massive, negative 19.43 lakhs INR.
Oof.
And if you look at the income statement,
Okay.
their total income was barely anything, 5.64 lakhs INR.
Yeah.
While their expenses were huge, 25.07 lakhs.
So they spent way more than they brought in.
Yeah, like more than 4 times what they were making.
Yikes, that's not good.
Not at all.
Doesn't really sound like a recipe for success, does it?
Nope.
And then on top of all of that, their earnings per share, negative 0.02 INR.
Oh, wow.
Not exactly what investors want to see.
No, not at all.
But wait, there's more.
Always more.
There's a second auditor's report
Really?
for the same quarter from ATK and Associates. But this one's dated August 14th, 2024.
Huh.
Why would they issue 2 reports for the same 3 months?
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah, normal.
Well, it's not super common, but it does happen.
Okay.
Especially if there are specific things they need to look into or if they get new information.
So maybe they found something during the limited review
Yeah, could be.
that made them want to take a closer look.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we'll definitely have to unpack that second report. But first, let's move on to the unaudited financials for the quarter ending December 31st, 2023,
Oh, all right.
which were approved in February of 2024.
Gotcha.
Now, here's where things get even more interesting.
Oh, boy.
We have a new auditor.
A new auditor.
Yeah, OPBAGILA GOLLP.
Auditor changes always make me a little nervous.
Me too. Me too. It's like, is that a red flag?
It's not always a bad sign.
True.
But it definitely makes you wonder.
Like, what's going on behind the scenes?
Exactly.
Oh, let's see what OPBALA-NCO LLP had to say about Vintron's books.
Okay.
In their report, there's a section called Basis for Modified Conclusion,
Okay.
which sounds serious.
It is, yeah.
Like, what does that even mean?
It means the auditors have some concerns,
Okay.
some reservations about these statements.
All right.
It's basically like saying, hey, there are a few things here we're not so sure about.
Uh-oh, what kinds of things?
Well, one of them is a default on a payment agreement.
Wait, so Vintron missed a payment.
Sounds like it.
Isn't that a big deal?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, that could seriously increase their debt,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, and then there's this other thing they mentioned,
What's that?
unconfirmed receivables and payables.
Yeah, that's not great.
You were talking about this earlier. It's like trying to balance a checkbook, but you're missing information.
Exactly.
Could you break that down for us?
Sure. So receivables, that's money a company is owed by its customers.
Okay,
And payables, that's money the company owes to suppliers and other people.
makes sense.
But when those numbers aren't confirmed or reconciled,
Right.
it means we don't really know if those numbers are accurate.
So it's like their books could be off.
It's definitely possible.
That's not a good sign.
Not really, no.
But wait, hold on. There's one more thing in the report.
What?
They issued an emphasis of matter paragraph.
Oh, that's never good.
Basically, it's a going concern warning.
They're concerned about Vintron's future.
Yeah, they're saying they have doubts about whether the company can even stay in business.
Wow. Okay.
And they list a few reasons for this warning. Things like eroded net worth,
Yeah, that's a big one.
more current liabilities than assets,
Uh-oh.
and cash losses in the previous year.
So basically, they're burning through their money.
It sounds like they're on the edge of a financial cliff.
Yeah, kind of.
But wait, there's a twist.
Oh, there's always a twist.
Vintron's management says these issues are temporary
Really?
and that they're working on a, quote, revival plan.
A revival plan. Interesting.
So are they being delusional?
It's hard to say.
Or is there a chance they can actually pull this off?
I mean, stranger things have happened.
So we're basically left with more questions than answers.
It seems that way.
They've got plummeting revenue, a new auditor, serious concerns about their viability,
Right.
and that mysterious second auditor's report.
Don't forget about that one.
This is a lot to unpack.
It is.
What are your initial thoughts?
Honestly, I'm not sure what to make of it yet.
Yeah,
This is a complicated situation.
it really is.
There are a lot of moving parts.
Okay, well, listeners, we've laid out the groundwork here in part 1 of our deep dive.
The mystery's just beginning.
And trust me, it's going to get even more interesting as we dig deeper.
Can't wait. Let's go back to those Q1 2024 financials for a second.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about that massive drop in revenue?
Yeah, it was wild.
Well, if you really break it down,
Okay.
almost all of their income for that quarter, like a tiny 1.1 lakhs INR, came from revenue, from contracts with customers.
So basically, their core business just dried up.
Pretty much.
They did have some other income totaling 4.47 lakhs INR, which brought their total income up to 5.64 lakhs. That's still not enough to cover their 25.07 lakhs in expenses.
Yeah, it's like trying to fill a bathtub with a teaspoon.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
No.
And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
A big chunk of their expenses, like 14.43 lakhs INR, went to employee benefits.
So they're still paying their employees, even though business is terrible.
Seems like it.
Why would they do that?
It's a good question.
Do they really believe in this revival plan?
Maybe.
Like they're trying to be loyal to their workers?
Could be.
Or are they just delaying the inevitable?
Could be. Or are they just delaying the inevitable?
It's hard to say for sure.
I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of things we'll have to see, let's talk about that default mentioned in the Q3 2023 auditor's report.
Okay.
It sounds like they didn't hold up their end of a payment agreement,
Right.
which could put them in even more debt.
Oh, for sure.
What are the implications of something like that?
Well, when a company defaults on a payment agreement,
Yeah.
it's like breaking a promise to a lender.
Okay.
It can really damage their reputation,
Right.
make it way harder to get financing in the future,
Makes sense.
and it raises questions about their financial management, like can they handle their money?
Exactly.
Can they be trusted with future loans?
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then there's that issue with the unconfirmed receivables and payables.
Right. Right.
You mentioned it's like trying to balance a checkbook without all the information.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a real-world example of how that could affect Vintron's stability?
Sure, imagine Vintron is reporting, let's say, 100 lakhs INR in receivables,
Okay.
meaning they're saying their customers owe them that much.
Right.
But what if half of those receivables are disputed?
Oh.
Or they just can't collect on them?
Then what?
Well, suddenly their assets are way lower than they seem,
Okay.
and their financial position is much weaker.
So their books are basically misleading.
It's possible, yeah.
That's not good.
Nope.
And then on top of all that, we have that going concern warning from the auditor.
Right, that's a big one.
Can you explain exactly what that means?
A going concern warning.
Yeah.
It's one of the most serious things an auditor can issue. It means they have serious doubts about the company's ability to keep operating,
Wow.
usually for the next 12 months.
So basically, they're saying Vintron is in critical condition.
Pretty much.
And the reasons they gave are clear.
Yeah, like what?
Shrinking net worth, more short-term liabilities than assets,
Right.
and they've been losing money consistently.
It's not looking good.
But remember, Vintron's management is saying these problems are temporary.
Yeah, that revival plan,
Right.
it's hard to know what to believe at this point.
So what's your gut feeling?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards the auditor side on this one.
So you're skeptical.
I'd say so.
That's fair. I mean, the financials are pretty grim,
They really are.
and those auditor warnings are hard to ignore.
Definitely.
But on the other hand,
yeah.
I have seen companies make incredible turnarounds
Oh, absolutely.
against all
It's
odds.
not impossible.
So how do we reconcile management's optimism with the auditor's warnings?
It's like solving a puzzle, right? We need to look beyond the surface, dig into the numbers, consider all the possibilities.
Because financial statements don't always tell the whole story.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have to read between the lines.
With detective work.
I like that analogy.
Thanks.
So what should we be looking for as we continue to investigate?
Well, first, we need to understand the context.
Okay.
What's happening in the electronic security and surveillance industry?
Right?
Is Vintron's decline a bigger trend,
Okay.
or is it something specific to them?
Gotcha.
We also need to look at the competition.
Yeah.
Are they facing pressure from new companies or established rivals?
Makes sense.
And finally, we have to examine their internal operations.
Okay.
Are there inefficiencies, management problems, other issues contributing to this?
So it's not just about the numbers themselves.
Okay.
It's about understanding the bigger picture.
Exactly.
How all these different pieces fit together.
It is like putting together a puzzle.
And in Vintron's case, it's a complicated puzzle.
Very complex.
Okay, but let's step back for a second.
Okay,
Why should our listener even care about Vintron's financial problems?
that's a good point.
It's not like they're personally invested, right?
Well, true,
So why does this matter?
because understanding financial information is valuable for everyone,
Really? Even if you're not an investor?
even if you're not an investor.
Okay, how so?
It can help you make informed decisions in all parts of your life.
Like what?
Evaluating potential employers,
Yeah,
making smarter investments,
right.
understanding economic trends,
Interesting.
even managing your personal finances.
So it's like a life skill.
Absolutely.
Huh. I never thought of it that way.
It's like learning a new language.
Okay,
It opens up a whole new world of understanding.
that makes sense.
And Vintron's story is a perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
It shows the importance of critical thinking,
Right.
asking the right questions,
Ah.
and not taking everything at face value.
Don't just believe everything you hear.
Exactly.
So there's a lesson here for everyone, even if they're not in finance.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Good.
So far, we've explored the external factors,
Right.
the internal issues
Yeah.
that are contributing to Vintron's struggles.
Yeah.
But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't looked at yet.
What's that?
That second auditor's report for Q1 2024.
Oh, right.
What do you think made them take a second look at Vintron's books?
Well, remember, this second report came out on August 14, 2024.
About a month after the first one.
Exactly. So something must have happened between those two dates
Okay.
that raised new concerns.
Like what?
Maybe they got new information
Okay.
or uncovered something during the limited review that needed a closer look.
So they decided to dig deeper
It's also possible that Vintron requested a more detailed examination.
of a specific part of their financials.
Right.
So this second report could hold some answers.
I think so.
It could either confirm our suspicions about Vintron's financial situation, or it could completely change our understanding.
Maybe it'll even give us some hope for their future.
It's like a plot twist in a thriller.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right, listeners, are you ready for the next chapter in this financial mystery?
It's about to get good.
We're going deep into that second auditor's report.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've spent the last 2 parts of this deep dive
Hmm.
really getting into the nitty-gritty of Vintron's financials. And it's been quite a ride.
It has.
We've seen the alarming revenue drop, those auditor warnings, and, frankly, a whole lot of uncertainty about their future.
A lot of unknowns.
But for a moment, let's put on our optimistic hats.
Okay.
Let's say, hypothetically,
Mm-hmm.
that Vintron does manage to pull off a miracle turnaround.
A mirror.
What would that even look like?
Well, first things first, they'd have to tackle those going concern issues.
Right.
They've got to boost revenue and fast.
How do they do that?
Maybe they've got some groundbreaking new product or service up their sleeve.
Okay, something to get people excited.
Yeah, real game changer.
Or maybe they're looking into partnerships or even acquisitions to expand their market reach.
Yeah, they need to make a big move
Something bold.
to get investors interested again.
But it can't just be a temporary fix.
No, definitely not.
They need a long-term plan.
Absolutely, something sustainable.
So they need to figure out why they're losing market share
Yeah.
and address those root causes.
It's like, are their products just outdated?
Right.
Are they not keeping up with what customers want?
Maybe they need a complete makeover
Sometimes a company needs to reinvent itself.
to stay alive.
Exactly.
It's not just about fixing the symptoms. It's about addressing the disease.
I like that analogy.
Thanks.
It's about taking a long, hard look in the mirror.
And making some serious changes.
And that takes strong leadership,
Yeah.
a clear vision.
And a willingness to make tough choices.
You got it.
And let's not forget about those unconfirmed receivables and payables.
Oh, right. That too.
You got to clean up their accounting practices,
Make sure everything is transparent.
especially if they want to rebuild trust with investors.
Transparency is key.
They need to be upfront about the problems.
Show they're committed to accountability.
So it's a long shot,
Definitely a long shot.
but not impossible, right?
I mean, if they can tackle these problems head on, make some strategic moves,
And regain the market's confidence.
it's a big if.
But maybe, just maybe, they can turn things around.
Maybe.
Okay, so we've looked at the best case scenario,
The optimistic view.
but now let's flip the script.
Okay.
What happens if they don't pull off this miracle turnaround?
What are the consequences?
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
Well, the worst case scenario is bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy, wow.
If they can't pay their debts,
Right.
creditors could force them into liquidation.
So the company would basically cease to exist.
Pretty much.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
Are there any other possibilities?
They could try to restructure their debt,
Oh,
negotiate with creditors.
for better terms?
Exactly. Or even seek a bailout.
A bailout from the government.
Yeah, but those options are usually only available to companies with a solid plan for recovery.
And based on what we've seen,
Yeah.
it's not clear if Vintron has that.
Not really, no.
So their future is really uncertain.
Very uncertain.
It's like a coin toss. We don't know which way it's going to land.
And that's business, right?
I guess so.
Always risks, always uncertainty.
But that's what makes it exciting, right?
For sure, it's a constant game of strategy, adaptation.
And a little bit of luck.
You got it.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Vintron Informatics Limited.
It's been a wild ride.
Listeners, we've given you the information, the insights.
All the different perspectives.
Now it's up to you to draw your own conclusions.
What do you think?
Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here.
Investing, like life, is full of uncertainties.
But by arming yourself with knowledge,
And developing those critical thinking skills.
you can make more informed decisions.
And navigate those uncertainties with confidence.
Who knows, maybe this deep dive has sparked your interest in finance.
Maybe you'll explore different investment strategies.
Or even consider a career in this field.
It's a fascinating world.
The possibilities are endless.
But for now, our journey with Vintron is over.
Thank you for joining us on this roller coaster ride.
We hope you learned something valuable along the way.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
And keep asking questions.
And remember, the world of finance is full of surprises.
Stay tuned.